Sister Denise. I see you like once in 6 months. Okay. Amen.
Amen.
Lord is good.
All the time.
We continue our discussion on faith and grace. Faith and grace. Let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 10 to 12. Or 10 to 11. 1 Corinthians 15. Corinthians 15. You there? Verse 10. 11.
Verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
But by the grace of God I am what I am, and his grace towards me was not in vain. But I labor more abundantly than they all. Yet not I, but the grace of God which was with me. Amen.
Amen. I don't know if you understand what that portion of the Bible says. What we are doing this morning is to look more deeply into the relationship between grace and faith. Grace and faith. Can you read that portion again for netcomers so that they can listen? 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 10.
By the grace of God, I am what I am, and his grace towards me was not in vain. But I labor more abundantly than they all. Yet not I, but the grace of God which was with me.
Amen. This was Paul speaking. He said, by the grace of God I am what I am. But he made a profound statement. He said, but I labored much more than they. Who are they? The other disciples and apostles of Jesus Christ. He said, but I labored more than them. Yet it wasn't me, but the grace of God that was in me. That is where we're going to fall in premise now. We realize that, or we've been told and we have heard, that grace, what is grace? Who can define grace? Unmerited favor, unearned favor, something that you do not work for. That's our definition of grace, something that God decides on his own to extend to you, something that you do not merit. If we are based on merit, we will not have this grace. We talk about general grace that is extended to everybody by virtue of Jesus Christ, coming. And we talk about another layer of grace that could come upon you because of where you come from, because of the role you play. But that's how we know grace. And then we look at faith, and we say that faith is what you have to tap into this grace. In other words, even though grace is made available, you will need faith to appropriate the grace of God in your life. Yet Paul said, it is by grace that I am who I am and what I am. Yet I labored harder, I worked harder than all the apostles. So if grace, the question I ask now, therefore, if grace is what you don't work for, His grace is unearned. Why did Paul have to work harder than all the disciples, even though he carried the grace of God? That's a question. I'm throwing this question out now because we're gonna make it interactive. Not here to preach. You know, 1 Corinthians 15, verse 10. Paul said, by the grace of God I am what I am. But I labored more than all the other ones. Yeah, it wasn't me, it was the grace in me. So my question is, if grace like we know, like we all define, is unmerited favor, unearned favor, you don't deserve it, you don't work for it. Why did Paul have to work so hard, even though he carried grace? Let's start from the back.
Well, I'd like to say that just like Martha, one of the things about Martha is that it's elastic. So the same applies to grace here. Grace is elastic. Grace can grow. So that's why Paul actually made that statement. So the more you labor in the word and in doctrine, the more the scope of grace expands, and the anointing too grows.
Amen? Okay?
We have to look at the background of Paul, where he started, how he started. Paul was not, he persecuted Christians. So in his background, for him to be able to actually bring the message across, he had to labor to win the people. And that's why for him his grace, because of his background of persecuting Christ, he had to earn his grace.
If you earn his grace, that means our definition of grace, there's something wrong with it. Like if you say earn, it means that the way we define grace, we need to modify it.
Not to earn his grace, I'm sorry, but for his faith. His faith. First of all, he did not believe in Christianity. He was persecuting Christians. So his faith was not there. And we say, for you to have grace, you have to have that faith. It's through faith that our grace is actually measured to us.
And if it's true, how does that relate to the work that he said, I work harder than all?
Well, for him to earn his people, the point I'm trying to bring across here.
There's something that I'm looking for. Go ahead. Just finish what you were before you come in.
For him, like when Paul was actually, when he met Christ, and he went before the disciples, he tried to convince the disciples that he was a changed man. But it took them a while for them to accept him because of his background.
Okay. Let's put a pause on you. I saw your hand first. Go ahead.
And even though we have grace is unmerited, general grace, but grace also have different level of grace. So Paul, he made that statement because he labored because he wanted to have another level of grace to be upon his life. Because we all have the genuine grace of God, but then you also have different dimensions of grace. As you labor in the world, your grace then starts to increase. So he was trying to increase his grace upon his life, different dimensions of grace.
I wanted to get to another level of grace.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. I will expand a little bit on what my brother, Minister Daniel, said. We see when Paul encountered Jesus on the way to Damascus, he had a mandate to go to the Gentiles to preach the word. And who are the Gentiles? Those that have never heard the word of God. So it takes a lot of work for you to penetrate to these people, to let them know who the true Christ is, than the apostles that, they have met him and this is the Jewish community. It's easy to convince people. But it was hard for him to go to the idol worshippers and other people to preach the word. So it took him a lot of labor and a lot of work to do that. Yeah, based on what he was,
Before
able to
you,
do.
I saw his hand. Go ahead.
Okay, actually, the word of God said that this grace has been made in abundance. I think Paul had that knowledge. He knew that this grace is there. The grace has been made in abundance for him. So that's why he could actually go far in his work than other apostles. Because relating to his own perspective, Paul, in persecuting Christians, he wasn't only in his own territory. He even took permission from the chiefs, priests, to go to other places, also to persecute Christians. So, he did that. So in order for him, he had that, I don't know, that one wasn't the grace to persecute Christians, but when he was converted to Christians, so he knew that if he would go to preach, to take permission to go and persecute Christians, so it is time for Christ now. So I have to go far.
So you said that this grace not available to other disciples?
It was, but Paul knew. I don't think maybe other disciples knew the abundance of this grace. Paul knew the abundance. He knew that.
Yes, I think, as Mr. Daniel said, I'm trying to build upon that. But, like we said, faith has levels. I think grace too, because of its abundance, has also levels. And therefore, when Paul had that grace of working for God, like we said the other day, that when you desire to do the work of God or the work for God, His grace rests upon you, and it will be like adding up more grace while you're doing the work of God. So Paul was doing it more than the others, and grace was in abundance on him. Just like that, I think he had the grace in abundance because of the work he did. If you look at the writings, he did more than the other ones.
Amen.
The fact that grace is available doesn't mean we don't have to walk. Grace is there for us, but we still have to walk to get what we want.
Right.
It's like, there's a job that is out there that they want to give you, but you don't want to apply for the job. If you don't apply for the job, you will not get the job. So I think the fact that grace is available for us doesn't mean we have to sit down and say, grace is available. Everything will be rosy. We still have to walk to get what we want.
Amen.
Okay. And I appreciate everybody building up on my perspective. Thank you so much. But what I want to bring out again is that Paul actually worked very hard. When he said he labored, he actually worked more than any other apostle out there.
Mm-hmm.
He labored. He went through a lot of tribulations. He went through a lot of shipwrecking and all this, and he expanded the ministry. He went as far as Asia, as far as Europe, to actually preach the word of God. So that's why his grace, he labored so hard. Like he said, Paul went through a lot and labored because he understood what grace was. The more you work, like he said, if you got a job, you can start from being a housekeeper. The next thing you know, you are the CEO. It's because of how you work hard and how you build up. And that's how Paul's perspective is on my side.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up because we still have some areas to go into. I thought I saw your hand. Okay, go ahead.
All right. I'd like to combine what everybody has said, summarize quickly. Because they've been trying to bring us so many points, but what I see from what people have been saying is that he had a clear understanding of grace, and he had zeal or passion. So this zeal could have come from his background and his experience, which some of the other apostles may not have really had. Like, he had it very hard and tough and all that. So he tried to see if he can have a flip-flop and do the same on the converse. So I think that's why he made that statement also.
Amen. No, I said I was going to stop there. I thought you didn't raise your hand.
I've been raising my hand now 3 or 4 times.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Paul stood alone amongst the other apostles. Grace is there, and if you see Paul, with the stance that he took against the Christians actually in the beginning, he has to overcome that. So he has a lot of work, he has a work to do to overcome that. All he's saying here that despite the fact that God has given this general grace, there's nothing you can do without hard work. And for him to get where he is, or where he was then, because he went from somebody who was opposing the other apostles, opposing Christ, to becoming almost the second in command. And he was next to maybe Paul, Peter, James, and himself. So for him to get there, he has to work hard. The harder he works, standing on the grace, the initial grace that God gave everybody, even though he has to do overwork to overcome his opposition, which every person in that area, all the apostles know that he was against them. And he has to work harder to prove himself who he has become, to earn his position there.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Uh-huh. Everyone said so many wonderful points. And Brother Maker summarized it. And the coordinator of this event of today. Well, we're moving to another area. Okay. Oh, people still want to say something on TV. Let's start with Rebecca. Mr. Rebecca, you start.
So summarize the whole thing in a nutshell. He knew the evil that he did by persecuting the children of God. So he wanted to, come back, and where he had done all the evils, because he knew where all he went and where he did it, so he had to work extra time to be able to undo the evil that he did. That's all.
Mike, finally.
While there is grace, but we need to know that we cannot do anything on our own. Of all the disciples, of all the people who know he was Saul, who is now Paul, who had a true revelation of Jesus. And Jesus gave him a mandate. There is something about we all Christians, but we are not standing at the same level. But you know who you worship, you level of work also. So he had a mandate, he had a revelation with Jesus. He truly knew who he is working for and where he is going. So that was why he had all he was able to do. Not by his power, but by a mandate of God.
Amen. Finally now.
Mine is a question.
Is it related to
It's related to this.
Okay.
My question is it not a price to pay after persecuting Christians, and God converted him to go and do his work, and he has to work harder than any other person in order to, receive anything from God?
Let me answer your question with a question, like they do in my wife's village. They answer a question with a question. So, denying Christ 3 times and persecuting Christians, which one should carry higher punishment?
Both of them should be in the same level.
Why?
Because it is pertaining to God. It's pertaining to Christ.
Well, you have a point there. Amen. Let's come back. Because I'll come to your point later. I brought this up. The Lord put it in my spirit that we should talk about it today. Because there's this notion that Christians have. That because there's grace, I didn't earn grace. You don't need to work for it. It will sound contrasting, but it's the truth. And I will bring it out in such a way that you understand this better. We say grace is unearned, unmerited, of course undeserving. You don't work for it. That is true. It is made available. And the layers of grace, we'll talk about that. But at the same time, we say that this grace, even though it's there, you can't fully function in this grace unless you appropriate what is made available by faith. Which means that even though grace is unearned, without faith, you can't appropriate it. And we say faith is up to us, grace is up to God. Which means that I have a role to play to be able to function in the grace that is made available to me. But you have to understand the definition, what this same Paul talked about faith. That faith without work is dead. If you bring this now together, this is grace, this is faith. Faith depends on work too. In fact, it means that you have grace, you have faith, you have work. Grace is obtained by faith, and faith is obtained by works. Which means that if you want to transpose that, you need work to have grace. So the notion of grace is unearned, unmerited, at the elementary level, that's the way it sounds. But when you get into advanced word of God, you know that grace is not unmerited. It's not 100% unmerited. There's a work you need to do. Somebody talk about elasticity. That's why the more you work, the more it expands.
That's right.
Peter, even though it was the rock that Jesus Christ built his church, basically what Peter did was to be a stabilizing force. He stabilized this Christianity. Peter was not doing much. Peter was not doing much. It was just like a father figure. He sat there in Jerusalem when people have issues. They run to Peter. Peter, hey, see this region that we went, there's so much crisis. He will give them advice, wisdom. Do this, do this. He wasn't like a foot soldier. He was there like a father figure. But to me, I believe he could have done much more like Paul. I might be wrong here. He wasn't able to put the right kind of work like Paul did that will expand the gospel. Even though he carried the grace was limited because he did not apply the kind of work that will expand that grace. What happened to Paul was that somebody said he knew the mandate. Of course, he knew the mandate, which is a good thing. It wasn't enough to know the mandate. He knew how to tap into that mandate by working harder. He could have said, well, let me do like others are doing. No. He decided to go extra mile. Extra mile for the gospel of Jesus Christ. He applied work. And that's why, because of Paul, that's how we become Christians, the Gentiles. Because of Paul, many nations of the world today became Christian. Otherwise, Christianity would have been restricted to Israel. Only few people there would have become Christians. Maybe all of us say will become Muslim because Muslim will have expanded to everywhere. But Paul single-handedly brought Gentiles into Christianity by working very hard. Very, very hard. It means that to appropriate grace, you need work. Meaning also many people carry grace. Even additional layers of grace. Many of you seated here today. I'm not talking about outsiders there. Even many of you here carry additional layers of grace upon you. But that grace is completely dormant. Why? Because you have not applied the right kind of work to activate that grace. You don't apply it. Because you think grace is unmerited. Why do I need to work harder? Many of you will not be where you are today. Excuse me. With the grace that you carry. If you have applied the right kind of work, the price, you have paid the price, you'll have been further in many areas of your lives today, including me. Excuse me. Because I still believe I could have done better than where I am in life. I'm talking to myself too. I could have done better, not only financially, I mean in every area, even in ministry. Even in ministry. If I had applied the right kind of work. I remember 2 years ago, I was invited somewhere to go and minister. But I look at the stress, the circumstances, the expense, and the time. And I refused to go. After that program, the Lord personally ministered to me. I saw myself in a boat, in a river, in my revelation. In a river. And as I was trying to paddle in the river, I saw myself from the shore going to the river. I jumped into the boat. I was trying to go. And a wave came and pushed me inside the river into the deeper, it's like an ocean, to the deeper part of the ocean. And I was so scared. I struggled and jumped out. I sat there and pondered. 2 days after, the Lord gave me a mighty revelation. He said, look, I wanted to expose you to the world with the gospel, with my gospel. But you rejected it because you are worried about the price you pay. In other words, the big ocean God was pushing me in, I struggled to come out because I wasn't ready. I was scared to pay the price. I had to go back to God, really, and ask God to forgive me. Why do I bring this up? Because we talk about grace. That's why when we hear, we try to be frank with each other. What is going to help us? If you and I have paid the right kind of price, if I walked the right kind of walk, believe me, many of us will not be where we are today. There's a walk to grace. I saw your hand.
Yes, sir. I like to say we have to be careful in a way here. Because when we become overzealous, we actually miss the point. What I'm saying that is, in 1 Corinthians 7:20, it says, let every man remain in the calling wherein he has been called. So like the emphasis you laid on Peter, I'm trying to look at it from another perspective. There has to be vision, there has to be leadership and hierarchy and all that. If, for example, Peter had, let's say, he was called in that office, he had gone out of there, they probably would have much more frustrated the grace of God also. So what do you think about work and calling? Is there any interference in between?
When you say work and calling, first of all, you need to find out what is your call. If you don't know what, if I don't know what my call is, every other thing does not matter. Most people don't know what their calls are. That's the truth. If I ask you right now, you seated there, what's your call? What will you tell me? I'm making it personal now. What will you tell me? So you see, that's the problem. Most people, first of all, do not know their call. Now to answer your question, this call will become effective when we apply work. I was using Peter, for instance. It wasn't only Peter. All other disciples literally faded away. All others. Apart from Peter that was a stabilizing force, many of them went out to do evangelism during the early days of the death of Christ. But have you really heard any concrete work that other disciples did, apart from Peter and Paul? Other disciples, have you really heard in the Bible very serious, explosive work that they did? Because many were not ready to even pay that price. I'm not saying that they were not Christian. I'm not saying that they were not going to heaven. No. I'm talking about on earth, what you do with that grace. You see, Peter, like I said, Paul would have been like them if he wanted to. He would still do the work of God. Maybe preach to the local people around there. He would still make heaven. So, but he decided, he saw greater, he saw clearer. That was not enough, but that was the starting point. He now had to apply, because when you work, you pay a price. Work is not just going to walk on by. People will step on your toes. People will call you names. People will get you angry. You're going to spend your own money. It might require you to wake up very early, sacrifice your time in order to get things done. It might require you to give the little you have to somebody even when you don't have. Imagine giving somebody money to pay rent when your own rent is not paid. I mean, how many people will do that? You already passed your rent and somebody walking to you and cry, oh my God, I need money for rent. You take the one supposed to pay your own rent and give to somebody to pay. And you don't even know where money will come to pay your own. Will you do it? That is how you exercise faith and see what God can do. It takes, so when you say, well, it comes at a great personal cost. And many, including me, like I just showed you what the Lord showed me. I wasn't ready to pay the price at that time. So, the work, the grace we talk about here will become more effective when you apply work. Because faith without work is dead. And grace is appropriated by faith. It means that grace without work is dead. I don't know if you see that relationship. Faith without work is dead. And grace is appropriated by faith. It means that grace without work is dead. That's what it means. Grace without work is dead. Paul had grace. He would not have achieved much with that grace if he did not put extra. He said, look, I am what I am because of the grace of God. He said, yeah, I work harder than all. He had grace, but he wouldn't have achieved what he achieved if he did not apply work. Not just ordinary work, serious work. So when we are overflocking this notion of grace, we miss the point. Many people depend on grace. Oh, grace, I have grace. Like I said, everything they do is great. Everything they talk about is great. Everything they sing today, oh, there's grace. Something happened, oh, there's grace. They justify everything they do by grace. They invoke grace at all times. Yet there are other people that invoke faith at all times. Oh, it's not faith. As if it all depends on them. There's a part for God, there's a part for you. There have to be a balance. That balance is where you apply work to whatever you are looking for, you are doing to make this grace more abundant. There's a general grace that we have been discussing in this church. And there's additional layers of grace. In fact, even the general grace expands as the harder you work. That's the truth. You see some people today, let's even talk about secular world. You see when you go to Forbes list of millionaires and billionaires, you see names. Oh, this was the number one, and how do they call it? The richest person in the world. This one is the richest in Africa. Sometimes we look and say, oh my God, well, it's just grace. Don't deceive yourself. It's not just grace. You do not know what those people had to put in at the early stage to get them where they are. No, some of them labored. Some of them had sleepless nights for years. Some of them nearly went mental. Some of them went through depression because of how much they lost, because of what they went through. Some of them lost a lot. Some of them failed several times before they got to where they are today. But when we see them on the top, well, don't worry. It's not everybody who wants to be a millionaire. It's grace. Oh, please. Even though you were meant to be a millionaire, even though God created you, say you are going to be a millionaire. If you don't work for it, believe you me, if you don't take time, you beg for food to eat till you die. That is what does the Bible say in Ecclesiastes 11 and 12? It said that prince, it says slaves ride on what? Donkeys. Why a prince do what? Walk on bare feet. Now let me not preach. Let me go, because if I want to start preaching now, I will not leave this place. What is the meaning of that? Slaves are riding on donkeys. And princes are doing what? Walking on bare feet. What does that mean? It means that there are people that are meant to be princes, kings, and queens. But today, they are servants. They are the ones serving the kings and queens. Why? Grace says that you will be a king, you will be a queen. But you are getting to 50, 60, 70. You are serving king and queens. Does that make sense now? Tell God to help you. Amen.